Hello again, everyone. Chris Matthew with Forbidden Knowledge News. We're having an amazing time at the Laughlin UFO conference. And looky who I'm here with, Richard Doty. How are you doing?
Good, great.
Richard, you had an amazing presentation.
Thank you very much.
I really much enjoyed it. I wish you guys could have been here to hear it. There were some bombshells that were dropped about Area 51 and his time there. Now, what time period were you there?
Various times on a temporary basis between January 1982 and 1985.
Now, could you tell us a few of the projects that you had access to while you were there?
A number of different projects pertaining to advanced research and development, DARPA projects, satellite imagery, captured space debris projects, not just pertaining to UFOs, but any kind of recovery of space debris, such as maybe a Soviet satellite or pieces of Soviet satellite or Chinese or even North Korean, would find its way to Area 51. And that's where the analysis, research, and development would occur. And along the way, of course, there were captured UFOs that were found at various places. Some even, I didn't get a chance to talk about it, but there was one actually found in Nevada, and that was brought back during my time there to Papoose Lake, where it was being.
And you were actually able to lay your eyes on some of these craft?
I was able to look and observe flying when we were trying to reverse engineer some crafts. I actually looked at it. The Cash Lander incident involved a craft that had left Area 51 and flew south, and eventually had the incident involving the family, and then came back. And when it came back, it was in a hangar, and I saw it. And this was in 1982. And that was a reverse engineered. The craft itself was ET. The propulsion system, we couldn't understand the ET's propulsion system, so we put our own propulsion system on there. And that's the one that malfunctioned.
Now, I've heard in a previous interview that you were actually able to witness an extraterrestrial before.
I did. I witnessed one on a closed-circuit television camera. I wasn't face-to-face with it. It was in another facility, but it was on a closed-circuit TV camera. Of course, we're talking about 80s technology. And when I came into this room, I saw it, and I asked the OSI agent that was sitting at the table, I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "I'm just watching this interview." And then I sat down and I said, "Where's this coming from?" He said, "They have a camera out at Papoose." This is before I'd actually been briefed into the program, so I didn't know. I said, "And that's real?" Pointing to the ET. He said, "It's a gray. It was gray, large eyes, typical gray." He said, "Yep."
Wow.
So I was there. I watched it for about 5 minutes. I realized I wasn't briefed into the program. A man in a suit came in and said, "Who are you?" I showed him my badge. He said, "I don't think you should be here." And I left.
That is amazing. Now, one of the incidents you were speaking of in your presentation was incident with, what was it, Bandit 7. Could you tell us a little bit about maybe the highlights of what happened with that incident?
Bandit 7 was a test flight of an F-117 from Tonopah Airfield to Groom Lake. It was a routine flying mission that was going to occur at night. The plane, the F-117, was in the R&D stage. It was accompanied by an A-7, another jet that always accompanied the F-117. Both planes took off on a routine training mission, 9:30 p.m. at night. When they got up to about 21,000 feet, they encountered a UFO. The UFO chased them. They chased the UFO, and eventually 2 F-16s arrived on scene. And in 1982, F-16s were new to the Air Force. And the craft was shot down and landed in a place called Wellington Site, which is south of Tonopah, on the test range. Eventually, the Air Force made access to it. There wasn't any ETs in there because earlier, unbeknownst to the Air Force, another UFO landed and took that we believe took the occupants out. Then we took it in captivity, and now and at that point in time, it was designated a captured ET craft, which is they're referring to as Cardinals, and put it in captivity for examination.
Now, speaking of the name, the Cardinals you mentioned, you also at the end of the presentation, you said in 1985 they had multiple named species of extraterrestrials that they knew of, right?
Right, 5 of them that I knew of.
Now, what were those 5 names? They were kind of strange.
Yeah, they were all, I don't know who named them, but they have Lloyds at the end of it.
Right.
Ebens, which is not doesn't have the Lloyds at the end of it. Heptaloids, Trantiloids, let's see, Ebens, Quantiloids, Trantiloids, Heptaloids, and I'm missing one. But anyways, there were 5 of them.
Now, do you have
I was
any-
never briefed into that, so I don't know much more than what I had read.
Mhm.
And as I said earlier, there's probably volumes and volumes of information pertaining to these alien races, and I had a briefing that can encompass maybe 2 pages. So that's
Right.
all I know.
Now, before I let you go, Mr. Doty, I'd like to get your thoughts on what's happening right now with disclosure in our mainstream media, from our own government. Why do you think it's okay now for all this information to come out, and it seems like it's being somewhat rushed?
I think there's, I don't think the right hand of the government knows what the left hand of the government's doing. I have friends who still work in the government. One particular one that works at Bowling Air Force Base. He works in this subject area, and he said they haven't come to me and asked me about. I have filing cabinets behind me that I could give them, but they haven't come to me.
Mhm.
So they're only pick and choosing. I don't think the people that are actually pick and choosing really knows the whole subject, and I don't believe that we'll ever get full disclosure.
Now, you did speak about a violent incident with an extraterrestrial for your presentation in, I believe it was 1985.
Yes.
Do you think that we're in any danger as a whole from these beings?
I think there is, and I've learned this since I've left government service, but I think there are maybe 1 or 2 ET races that pose a danger to Earthlings. Yes, I do. I don't have a lot of information about it. There have been incidents where abductions occurred, and you never find the people again, or kidnapping. I've read books and I've talked to people who are centering around the number of missing people around the world, not just the United States. Thousands and thousands of them are missing every year. Where are they going?
Mhm.
Are they being abducted and taken away for some experiments or breeding? I don't know.
Right. Well, since all this is happening, do you think that the world is ready to know exactly what's going on and outside of our planet and on our planet?
No, I don't. I don't think society's ready. If the government was to hold a news conference over a period of probably months, because that's how long it would take to disclose everything that they had, I think there'd be some sort of worldwide panic. And there's all sorts of repercussions that would occur. So I don't think the government would be dumb enough to release anything, other than maybe, these things might be UFOs, might not be extraterrestrials, but we really don't know. That's probably what we're going to do.
So we shouldn't get our hopes up too much for the information coming out
No.
this month.
Not a bit.
Okay. Well, Mr. Doty, that was a fantastic presentation, and thank you so much for
You're very
talking with us.
welcome.
Enjoy the rest of the
Thank you.
conference.